If you have something you're passionate about talking about, then that'll come across in the interview.
I want to start getting the conversation flowing about the differences between perhaps traditional management consulting and typical data science consulting and a typical data science role. Yeah. So one thing that would be interesting to me is, can you talk about how that interview process at a consulting firm for data science would work? And perhaps, again, how that is different from an industry data scientist.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think if you're applying for a data science role at a large corporation, I know companies like Unilever or the banks or any type of manufacturing company, or they now have data science arms. Those types of jobs typically require some sort of subject matter expertise where you previously studied engineering and you understand how factories work. And they might need a data scientist who can apply optimization methods to a manufacturing process. So the interview prep process might be very much like case-based, where you will read the articles in the Harvard Business Review about big decisions that were made using data in the manufacturing world for that type of application process. When you're applying at a consulting firm, you have no idea what type of case interview you're going to get. It's an equal likelihood that it's going to be in consumer or in the financial services or in the manufacturing or in anything. You might be in mining space. And what they're looking for is a generalist attitude of being able to think through what are the data inputs that a system has at its disposal, and how might you use those data inputs to either drive additional revenue or reduce costs or just make the company more competitive and gain a competitive advantage in whatever it's doing. So I guess a long-winded way of saying that the interview process is more focused on broad skill sets rather than subject matter expertise.
Interesting. And so one thing when I was doing consulting, especially at an entry level, that in a lot of my courses and a lot of the conversations I had was addressing being client ready. I think that that's probably less important in an industry role. I mean, you obviously have to work with like internal stakeholders, but from, the perspective of actually working with external clients where, you probably could get fired or taken off a project or whatever that might be.
Yeah.
How important is that, and how do you assess that in a candidate?
So that kind of client readiness is actually something that I think is very difficult to fully understand with a candidate that doesn't have a lot of work experience, because what you want to know is how this person will behave if you brought them onto the team, and day one they might be sitting across from the SVP of marketing or with the CMO or potentially in a meeting with the CEO. And how do you know that this person is going to say something which will be accretive to the conversation, that won't kind of slow things down or knock them off course? I think in the consulting world, we try to control for individual biases that go into any interview process by having a lot of touch points. I know that at BCG, we have at least 4 in-person meetings, or I guess in the virtual world, we're still recruiting. It's video conferences, but a chance where different reviewers can actually provide their perspectives on would they want this person on their team, and what kind of contribution could they make from the technical side if they're recruiting for a data science role. I would say that the best thing, I would go back to kind of the previous idea of if you have something you're passionate about talking about, then that'll come across in the interview. If you tell an interesting story about how you maybe helped on a team project or in a previous job role, you helped drive a group of people to a decision that was hard that had challenges with it, and you can talk about those challenges and how you overcame them, then that's kind of the way that you can prepare yourself best for any behavioral questions, of just having your story polished and at your disposal a few examples of for the typical question areas that you might encounter.